Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our family engagement series. We are so excited to have you here with us. Our series for this evening is on security, a responsibility for all. We are offering this presentation in the requested languages. Interpreters, please read what's below.
En la computadora estamos ofreciendo esta presentación en los lenguajes deseados para el español. En su computadora busquen el icono el botón que dice interpretación en la barra de control.
در شماره 1 رو کامپیوترتون
Cuando ustedes están haciendo clic, van a
نگاه
escoger
بکنید به نقطه در واقع
I'm
ترجمه.
sorry, we're talking over each other. Just let's go one at a time. Mientras usted haga clic ahí, va a ver el lenguaje ahí que puede poner su lenguaje deseado de español y después va a cambiar su icono. En el teléfono van a unirse a donde dice unirse al audio y llamada por internet y después van a hacer clic en los 3 puntos y más y después van a van a hacer clic en su lenguaje deseado de interpretación y pueden escoger ahí el español y terminar. Go ahead.
تو قسمت کامپیوترتون در مرحله اول نگاه بکنید به دکمه‌ای که برای ترجمه هستش، قسمت اینترپریتیشن، روی در واقع اون قسمت باری که برای کنترل این منظور تهیه دیده. در مرحله دوم زمانی که در واقع اومدید روی اون نقطه در واقع ترجمه همزمان کلیک کردین، اون زبان مورد نظر خودتون رو انتخاب بکنید. در مرحله بعدی زمانی که اون در واقع علامت رو، اون آیکان رو و زبان مورد نظر خودتون رو میبایستی در واقع تغییر بدید. اگر دارید از تلفن همراه استفاده میکنید، سعی کنید که اول رو قسمت صدا یا همون اودیو در واقع ملحق بشید، اون قسمت رو بزنید، کلیک بکنید رو قسمتی که در واقع نوشته اینترنت و قسمت در واقع تماس کال اوور که براتون نوشته. تو قسمت شماره دوم بعد که این کارو کردید، روی قسمتی هستش که در واقع 3 تا نقطه اونجا مشخص کرده و در واقع میتونید اونجا بیشتر اطلاعات بیشتری رو کسب بکنید و در نهایتاً قسمت ترجمه مربوط به زبان رو توی اون قسمت رو که نوشته language interpretation، اون قسمت رو در واقع کلیک بکنید و زبان مورد نظر خودتون رو انتخاب بکنید و در واقع به همون زبان مورد نظر میتونید گوش بدید.
We are going to ask you to please keep your device on mute.
Les vamos a pedir de que mantengamos sus aparatos en bloqueando el sonido.
If you have any questions, please type them in the question and answer section using the button at the bottom of the toolbar.
Si tienen unas preguntas, pueden hacer las preguntas, escribirlas abajo en la barra de control y escribirlas ahí.
ما از شما میخوایم که لطفاً 2 مورد رو در واقع لحاظ بفرمایید. یکی مورد اول این که از هر وسیله در واقع که استفاده میکنید لطفاً صداش رو قطع بکنید و مورد بعدی اگر هر سوالی در واقع موضوع امروز دارید لطفاً تو قسمت بخش سوال و پرسش که Q&A هستش تو اون قسمت در واقع بنویسید با استفاده از در واقع اون جایگاهی که در زیر ستون اون بارتون در واقع این علامت سوال رو مشخص کرده.
Welcome, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening.
Bienvenidos. Bienvenidos y gracias por tomar tiempo fuera de su horario tan ocupado esta noche.
خیلی خوشحال هستیم از حضورتون و تشکر مخصوص ویژه‌ای برای حضورتون امروز از تو برنامه ما خدمتتون داریم.
A special thank you to our presenter, Jacob Edwards and Marcos Boganero. And this is the contact information if you need to get in contact with us. At this time, we are turning on interpretation services. And now we're turning over this section to Mr. Edwards.
Okay. Good afternoon. So I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing, we already have a question. So let me share my screen first, and then we'll get to that question. So good afternoon and good evening. We have a question from someone saying, is this for ninth grade high school? So Victoria, this is for really anyone, any parent, any guardian from age pre-K all the way to 12th grade. So just want to make sure that I address that first. We also saw somebody raise their hand. Did we address that person? I think maybe someone raised their hand to find out if they got to the right translation. So with Miss Boyce, do you mind looking at that? And then someone else raised their hand. Victoria raised her hand again. Okay. All right, but I wanted to welcome everybody. I appreciate y'all coming. I just got home from work today and set up. You might hear my kids and my dogs making noise, so I hope that's limited. But I wanted to just give that a heads up. We also are going to be speaking slower today because we have multiple languages getting translated. So the pace of this might be a little bit slower, but I promise you, I will not bore you. What I want to share today is the mindset that security is for everyone. So within our district, there's a lot of work that gets done when it comes to preparing our staff and students for security and preparedness. And one of the main things is we have to prepare for the 16 state mandated drills that we have to do in Virginia per year. And I'll get to that in our presentation. But a lot of our work is not to just do the minimum. We are one of the most proactive school districts that's the size of ours, with being in the top 50 of the whole nation out of 13,000 public school districts. We are very proactive in the work we do. And my mindset as the supervisor of crisis management under the new department called Security and Crisis Readiness is to help plan for what we can't prevent. And that's the mindset I have, is there's a whole lot we cannot prevent out there in this world. And our job is to help prepare for those moments and to minimize the impacts to all of us that could be exposed to those things. Throughout the presentation, if you put a Q&A in there, I'm just going to kind of flow through. And at the end, we will get to those Q&As. And then Ms. Boyce, if you don't mind just kind of maintaining things. And if something urgently comes up, please stop me and I'll make sure I address that.
Do you have something blocking your presentation?
Okay.
You didn't see earlier when you showed it. So there's some boxes, rectangles that are blocking there. That went away. You still got 3 of them. Yeah, they're now going away. Whatever you're doing is working.
Is that everything?
Nope, you still got 2 more.
Okay. Well, I can't see that, so.
Okay. But we can see it now. It's only at the top. But before we couldn't see it. It was blocking your presentation. Thank you.
Sure. All right, so I'm going to move on. All right, so session objective. First off, security or responsibility for all. That's the main topic here. But at the bottom here, all this is related to our strategic plan alignment that Dr. McDade came in and helped support our district to move forward to organizational coherence. So I'm going to read those to us. Objective 2.3, PWCS facilities will be welcoming, safe, and sustainable. Objective 4.1, PWCS will create systematic structures for strong cycles of continuous improvement. And then the last one, continuous improvement plan, 100% of schools will receive crisis management training annually. And I'll talk about that throughout our presentation. One of the exciting things that we just got that launched in August, just 2 months ago, actually 2 months tomorrow, is our new Security Operations Center. This is something that we are excited to have because a lot of other large districts have this. And when we added our Security Operations Center, they are the eye in the sky that can help support us in a static location from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's what they have funding for currently. They're open for 12 hours throughout all school days. So let's say that there's a bus accident and it's going to impact, we all know with our schedules for buses, if your kid rides the bus, that one bus accident will impact the rest of the day for arrivals. So we want to make sure when that happens, we can communicate things as far left as we can to those schools that may be impacted or those bus routes that may be impacted. And the Security Operations Center can really help with that. They also help with, let's say that I was at a school this week, and unfortunately they had a student that had a seizure. And those things are it's really hard thing to watch when someone has a seizure. And it can be very embarrassing as well for that student and that family. So one of the things that the SOC can do, Security Operations Center, is they can handle the communications where the school can put the posture of their school in the right action. They can clear the area where that student was impacted or staff member. And we can help get emergency operations there fast. And the best thing about the SOC too is they can also be on the cameras immediately to be able to see what door, or if it's an outside thing, they can be able to see it, whether it's inside or outside, to make sure we help support our operations, our police and fire and EMS get to the right location in the seconds that matter. Again, there's more I can share about the SOC. The best thing is they help with streamlined communication. So when the school is impacted in an incident, they have one place to call. Unless it's a life safety incident, they would call 911, of course, first. But the SOC can help out communicate to central office support staff and get the appropriate staff notified in a faster manner than having a more middle person involved with communication like we used to do before the SOC opened up this year. Here's a slide to talk about what the SOC has done to date. They've managed 194 situations as of this week. 240 incident alert messages have been sent out, and they've also received within their first 2 months 591 calls. And the top 3 things that happen would be a medical emergency, EMS response, a school threat possibly, and police activity in the vicinity of the school. Let's say there was a vehicle incident, and let's say someone fled on foot. It's important that the police help notify us that we can notify schools impacted within that region of that issue. All right, this is one of the most powerful things that we started, and this was something that launched in 2021. It is our Say Something Anonymous reporting system. Now, if you look at a lot of the recent case studies that have come out and a lot of the publications from the National Threat Assessment Center, it's called INTAC. They have an averting report that came out, a publication, and a big part of that was having the ability where students and staff and even parents, because we get a lot of our tips from parents and guardians from the community, whether it's from they heard it from a neighbor or saw it on social media. For instance, after the Appalachia High School attack that happened last month, we saw we call it a lot of ruse or hoax type of threats came out. And it could be on a Snapchat message, or it could be on social media, any other channel. And it could be just a screenshot of someone with a firearm or a weapon. And what happened was this one screenshot that started around the Atlanta, Georgia area, down where the Appalachia school attack was. We pulled IP addresses and found out this screenshot kept getting shared over and over and over again. And it impacted, of course, our school district. And unfortunately, this happens oftentimes, and we call it like social contagion, where things happen and other people see connections and they see the fear that it creates amongst the community. And a lot of people think this is funny, but it's not funny to share a threat, especially when kids say it's funny. Oh, I was just joking. I didn't mean to say that. Well, that's not something to joke about. Our police department and our SROs attached to our schools take those things very serious. But we are connected with our schools. Every middle and every high school has to have a Say Something Anonymous reporting team at the school level. because it's a 6th through 12th grade program. And we also have a district central office team, and that's the team that I'm on. And there's multiple of us that rotate on call for evenings, for holidays, and for weekends to take those life safety tips that come in that are whether they're self-harm or whether they're targeted harm towards someone else or towards a school. And it's been a very productive program where we have, and when I talk to I'll show you some pictures here in a little bit, but when I talk to the high school, middle school kids, when I go out and do these presentations, I remind them it's not snitching when you're helping save a friend's life or a colleague's life or a staff member. You're helping share something, because another report that came out from NTAC, the National Threat Assessment Center, called Averting Targeted School Violence, that one came out in 2021. It showed in there 60 plus incidents that were averted, whether through reporting or law enforcement or family told on the student or the kid. It showed that more likely than not, an incident, someone knew about it. So we call that leakage before the attack was planned. And that's an important thing to know, that if someone knows, we want to give them the chance to share something, even if it's an anonymous way. So you can, as a parent or guardian, you can scan that QR code and download the app. And even you can put a tip in if there's something that you think is relevant to report. And everything is looked at. And the thing is, you have to pick a school to put your report into. So if it's a middle school or high school, you can pick that one. But if it's an elementary school, what you can do is pick the closest middle or high school towards that school, and just in the comments say, this is actually for Antietam Elementary or Lake Ridge Elementary, not Lake Ridge Middle. And we'll see that when that tip comes through. And all tips are monitored by the crisis center that we have an agreement with Sandy Hook Promise, that is down in Miami, Florida. And all the tips get triaged through there, and they're listed either as life safety or non-life safety when they come through their crisis center. And the last thing I want to mention on this part is last year, I really want to give a shout out to Unity Reed High School. They're located in Manassas. And they started out when we have something called SAVE clubs that are also required for every school that has a tip team. So 6th through 12th grade, all middle and highs, they have to have a SAVE club. And SAVE stands for Students Against Violence Everywhere. And it was started from a young man who was in high school back in the 80s down in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it was initiated from him, from his actions, where he stepped up at a school event and defended some other students, and he got shot, and he lost his life in that incident. And Save Clubs was founded from that situation. And their Save Clubs is in partnership with Sandy Hook Promise. And Unity Reed High School got recognized last year as one of the top Save Clubs in the entire country, which was amazing. And Sandy Hook Promise hosted they called a leadership summit for the kids, and they got to come out, and we had 61 students and over 19 staff members from the whole district attend that Save Club summit, and it was very awesome. And we're actually going to be doing another one this year, and we hope to get up to 140 kids out to fix max capacity in our room that we have booked, and that'll be in March. All right, here we go. So the Save Club stuff and the Sandy Hook Promise, we look at that as more of the prevention model. Now, when it comes to emergency response and action, that's my specialty. That's where I come from professionally. I served as a Marine and the GWAT War, and I also, after that, I became a combat skills instructor for our military as a civilian, and I led our active shooter insider threat program for our advisory academy. And I wanted to work with schools, which I came to Prince William about 9 years ago, because I grew up in the state and I wanted to come back to my state and give back. But also, I grew up, my mom was a kindergarten teacher. And when I joined the military and she was learning what I was doing, and a lot of these drills started coming up post Columbine, she would come to me and say, I don't understand what we're supposed to do. And that's where I realized that schools could use my professionalism to help support and articulate the right actions needed to a civilian that isn't something but just trying to help protect their students and their school. So it's been a great professional environment for me. And some of the stuff I've done is we created this document here. In my time I've been here, this came out about 2 years ago. And this is all this is emergency action, and it has words, but also matches it with icons. And every classroom in our school has the part on the right side of the screen that says emergency action. This one's for the ones for staff and students, but the one in the classroom says emergency action, and it talks about the SOC, how to call the SOC, but it has the same icons here, which is hold, secure the building, lockdown with our defend options, evacuate, and then shelter in place. And the best thing about this is this replaced our old, we used to have these flip charts that had page to page to page on the wall of each classroom. The problem is the joke is who's flipping through it. Because when I would ask staff about it, a lot of them say, I see that, but I don't really look at it. So now the best thing is this is right there on the wall. And it's amazing because even the kids are reading it now, and it's getting them more involved with their own security and their own preparedness. I'm talking about all the way even down at the lower level of our elementary schools. The amount of questions I get from first graders or second graders that start reading this stuff, it's very creative of the stuff that they think of after they read our actions. But this slide here is to show you the parent information, that this is for you all what to expect in an emergency. Whether you're not at our school and you hear about something that happened, ways that they may communicate to you from our communications department. That's the left side of the screen. And then on the right side is, let's say you're at an activity or an event at our school and something happens, an emergency happens or an incident occurs. Also helps you understand the terminology that you might hear from our staff and students while you're in that building. Okay. All right. So now we're going to move on to the actual student and staff training that is conducted each year. So keeping staff and students safe. First off, one thing that is vital, and we learned this after incidents occur, like the Appalachia High School attack that recently happened in Georgia, having doors that are locked are vital. So not just interior, but also exterior doors. So all exterior doors are locked unless they're obviously being in use, people are coming out, and the schools have access control buzzers on the main doors. And I want to share about the access control buzzers. So I was actually at 2 schools today training some of our new security staff. And what we were doing was working on access control. And what we remind them is when you all show up to the school, we ask them to, say good morning or good afternoon, how may we help you? And the idea is we want to create some conversation. Instead of me saying, let's say that I'm like, oh, I know this person. Well, I might know your name, but do I know why you're there today? So I always tell them, look, they always say, well, I know that person. Well, you recognize them from a prior engagement. So even yourselves, if you see that they aren't challenging you enough, there is no professional issue with you saying, you could always ask me a question of what brings me here today, or what can I help you with? Oh, I'm here to pick up my child. Awesome. Make sure you have your ID, and you say, come on in, Mr. Edwards. Because if you know their name, just recognize them, acknowledge them. You know their name, but make sure you let them know what they need before they come in. Because we've had plenty of students, of parents and guardians that have come to pick up their children. And let's say the parking lot for this school is 300 meters away, like way down, they got to park. And look, I do this sometimes. I take my wallet out of my back pocket when I drive because it can be annoying and uncomfortable. But let's say I forgot my wallet, and now I get into school, I get buzzed in, and then I get told that once I'm at the table to pick up my child. So we ask the staff in the schools to make sure for ID, they don't need a seat at the door because they're not really reading it, but we need it if you're picking up your child once you come in. And that's what our regulation shows. So they should ask you, make sure you have your ID. And if you don't, then it could be that ding, ding, ding. Oh yeah, it's in my wallet's in my car, or my purse is in my car, or my bag is in my car. And now I need to go get it while I'm still outside instead of coming in and then being frustrated when they tell you got to go back and get it. So if anybody can agree with that, and you want to give a thumbs up or raise your hand, and that could be an acknowledgement that that's cool. If not, no worries. But again, we have so many new front office staff that come in and out. You know, we are a large military county with Fort Belvoir, Quantico. We have a lot of staff that come in that are military spouses and work for a year or two and roll out. So one thing that my team does with training is we do a formal front office staff training, and it works and covers the stuff I'm sharing with you right now. And some of our schools, I've not all of them have done it because it's up to them. I can't force them to do it because the principals do run the school. But when it comes to, some of them have footprints down, or they use the mascot in front of the camera for the buzzer control system to show you where to stand instead of you hitting the buzzer and then walking over to that door and start pulling on the door. So if you all think that's a good idea and your school doesn't have it, you could always go and say, hey, I heard about some footprints in front of the buzzer. I think that's a great idea. And another thing that we teach them is, if there's multiple people in line, let's say I'm in line to buzz in to pick up my child. If someone's behind me, we teach them is to say, please, could you step to the side after they dealt with me? Sir, do you mind stepping to the side? And that person behind you, do you mind stepping up so I can challenge you and talk to you about what we can help you with? So instead of them letting me in and then expecting me to shut that door in front of that other visitor behind me, that's not my job, right? But it is my job to also be part of security. Say, oh, you know what? There's somebody behind me that's trying to come in. So let's talk to them first, and then you can hopefully buzz both of us in at the same time if everything works out. I hope that also makes sense to everybody as well. We try to look for layers and not expect to let someone in one at a time, because once that door is open, those people are coming inside. Okay. Next thing I talked about, PWCS has 16 state mandated drills. So I'm going to talk about those drills. And there are, of our 50 states in our country, at the last I checked, there was 43 states that require by law drills other than fire drills in our schools. So Virginia is one of the top required in the whole country for the amount of drills we do. We do a lot of drills. So our state code is one of the requirements for our drills, state code from state law. Then we have the Virginia Department of Education has their own requirement. And then we have the fire code, fire prevention code. So those three entities are what encompasses our full 16 state mandated drills. And most of our drills are fire drills that the state fire prevention code requires us to do at least one a month. And then we also have, by state law, we have 4 lockdown drills a year. And we also have tornado drills, and we also have earthquake drills. Now, the earthquake drill is a recommendation from the state, but what the law says is that the school district can enforce it where they could do more than what the state says, so we can't do less. So we make it a requirement to do that earthquake drill just so we're prepared. So that's a recommended from the state, but we require it as a district. And obviously the important thing when it goes to preparing for these drills is they all have different outcomes and their actions of what we're looking for. So the important thing that we challenge the schools to do, and this is why it's great now that Dr. McDade came in and she provided us the opportunity. We now have a security officer funded for each school, including elementary schools, which is absolutely unheard of for large school districts like ours. Loudon and Fairfax, our neighbors, they don't have elementary officers in every school. So it's very awesome to see that we're being proactive in these large districts, and we have that opportunity now. But what's important is our team. I'll get into this next slide here. Our team's in charge of the training for all security officers, and I'll share about that here in a minute. And then last thing, the last bullet here. So you can talk to your students about this. And this is where it's so important. When I talk to the kids in person, I always say, look, never, ever give your security to just somebody else. Always be part of your own security. We need them to be part. And I always say, an example of, would you ever cross the street blindly if someone just told you it was clear? Wouldn't you want to confirm and check for yourself? So that's the mindset I try to push in my team of our 5 instructors, that we try to push out there to the kids. So all staff and students are required to watch. I'm going to go back really quick. The icons you see here, we have a video that is 6 minutes long, and it shows these icons and little different action videos with the kids, and staff are actually teaching it to us. So it was filmed with kids involved. It was filmed with the kids set up in different areas of the school, whether a common area or a classroom or outside. And it shows them also teaching other kids. So that video is required to watch each year by the end of September. So we just got through that last, week, a little over a week ago. So please talk to your kids, make sure they saw that video, and maybe say, can you, refer it back to me and tell me what you learned. Tell me what you saw. Okay. Another part of keeping staff and students safe. So one thing in Virginia is very proactive when it comes to the nation of school security. The Virginia Center for School and Campus Safety was founded almost 25 years ago. And when it was founded, it came out with a certification program called School Security Officer. So we have our district. When I started almost 9 years ago, it was just me as a school security officer. And now we have 5 of us now are instructors as school security officers. We are the second largest district in the state size-wise, but we are the second largest when it comes to staff of security officers. Fairfax is the largest school district size-wise. We're the second largest, but actually Virginia Beach has the most security officers in the whole state, and we actually have the second most. We have more than Fairfax and Loudoun. We have almost 200 officers, and our team is in charge of all their certifications. So when they get hired, they have within 60 days to get certified as a school security officer under, they call it DCJS, which is Department of Criminal Justice Services. And that's through the Virginia Center for School and Campus Safety. And that's just the minimum to get everyone certified. But we also conduct training throughout the year. So the second bullet here, we schedule 30 hours of in-person training and development for our school security officers each year. And that's something that me and my team manage. We actually have one coming up on the off day on October 14th. We have a training. And the important thing about these trainings is it's a time to get all the security folks together from the different schools. It's our time as security professionals to come together and collaborate. And the important thing about that is the state, to keep your certification, only requires 8 hours per year. But we don't do a minimum amount of anything. We try to do something where it makes sense professionally and relative. And we do about 30 hours a year of in-person. And this is not virtual. This is legit in person. They are there hearing from professionals. And in our area, we have an amazing amount of resources from the FBI, their behavior analytic unit, from the NTAC, National Threat Assessment Center, from other organizations. And one of the best things is that we are collaborating with them, because a lot of our security officers that we have now are retired from a lot of those agencies. So we maintain those connections. Last year, we had a lady named Dr. Carrie Gibson. If you want to look her up, she was phenomenal. She runs the behavior analytic unit for the FBI. and she talked about a lesson called the pathway to violence. And she shared with us in her case studies and her real incidents that she's worked, how the data shows it that whenever there's a planned targeted attack, more likely than not, that person is also homicidal or suicidal. And the important thing with that is helping understand, and when we are all functioning well and we're in a good state of mind, we can't even relate to that kind of mindset. So it was good to hear from her the real perspective. When people say they can't understand why someone would do something, we heard from her it's partially because we're not in the same mindset as that person who's choosing to do this evil act. But that was an amazing presentation she did with all our security officers last year. We have one coming up soon for the threat of the drugs in our area, in our community in Northern Virginia. That's coming up here next week. So moving on from the training for security officers, we also have something that came out is our weapon detection systems, and they're used daily at all of our middle and high schools. And the important thing about that is this year, we literally have detected zero firearms in our school, and also last year. And that's we want to mitigate damage here, and this is a way. It's not a perfect way, and the model that I always try to articulate to folks is like security world I came from is it's like Swiss cheese. We try to put layers upon layers and stack them because every layer we add creates another hole or vulnerability somewhere else. But we just try to keep covering that with other layers. So those layers that have those holes, those vacancies, get stacked up with other layers of protection. And one example of that is, let's think about weapon detection systems. It puts a lot of staff up front or by our access points in the morning. So that helps us understand our vulnerabilities now are making sure we still have coverage on the outside of that building to avoid students that might be walkers to that school or live close and take a back path that school, that we have also presence around other doors so we avoid our weak areas during our high time of labor hours, which is during arrival. Okay, I'm gonna move on from here. So I mentioned earlier about 100% of schools will receive crisis training. So one thing that this year that is new is it's always been part, but now they have to either pick one or the other each year, and most schools are picking two. So we do tabletop scenarios with the crisis response team. So that's like the main operational folks of the school. Or they pick an all staff each year where we talk to all the staff at once. And the thing is, whatever they did that year, the next year we'll rotate and do the other one. But the important thing is each school also has a crisis response team that our central office team manages the yearly input and updates for the state report that we submit. So we make sure we have accountability of that, and all schools have to have an acting crisis response team in place. And so another thing empowering you to know as parents and guardians, now you can go to your schools and say, hey, I heard about your school crisis response team. I just want to say, that's great. I'm glad you have them. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do when you meet as a crisis response team and what you prepare for? Those are all fair questions that you can ask, because this is, we're all stakeholders in this. And the more you all know to understand that's relative for your role as parents and guardians, the more you can gain trust in those that are with your children throughout our school days. So as of October 10th, as of today, 40 of our schools have completed the training that is required for this year. And we have 18 more planned on the books as of now. And those that haven't scheduled, I know it's still early in the year, so our team is very persistent, and we're always out there letting them know, hey, don't forget, you got to book this training. Get on the calendar as early as you can. And I'm cool with sharing this with you all. Please go to your school and say, hey, don't forget, you got to book that training for this year. And you can kind of smile with it and say, I don't know if you had it yet, but you got to book that training. And hearing it come from you all, that only adds to the point of my presentation as security, it's something for all of us to be part of. All right, so here's some pictures. There's some older pictures when the masks were required. So this is an example, though, of me working with 1,200 middle school kids in one day. And these were pictures of us at the lunchroom where I didn't have a lot of time. I let them go through their lunch for like the first few minutes. And at the last 10 minutes of their lunch, as they were eating, I would start talking to them about security and emergency preparedness. And one thing that is vital to body placement when it comes to an active violence situation is you see the picture on the right side. I'm sitting down with this young man. And the story I'm saying here is, let's imagine what we started changing how we taught them their tactics in the classroom, and if they're hiding somewhere for an active violence situation. I said, imagine that we're in a lockdown and we have our defend options, and we're going to be hiding in the corner of our room away from the door, so we're out of that danger area, that fatal funnel, and we'll be sitting over here. And I said, well, instead of sitting, let's take a knee. So in case we're still lower than we were standing, if we're taking a knee, but let's take a knee now and go to the right picture here and say, now, if we had to move fast because of whatever threat we're dealing with, whether it's a gunfire or someone had a knife or a weapon, impact weapon or edge weapon, and they broke through our door or our space, now we are on a knee and we can jump up and move fast and either escape, or also if we have to go hands-on to defend ourselves, because self-defense is something that we absolutely teach everyone because they have that right. And that's something that our school district does. And not all school districts proactively teach defend options like we do. And this is not run, hide, fight. It's similar. It's modified. We teach escape, barricade, defend. And I want to share, before run, hide, fight came out, that national term that a lot of us have heard for over a decade, before it came out in 2012 with the FBI in the city of Houston, when they put out their first video, me as a professional, I was working then for the military as a combat skills instructor, and we were using the term escape, barricade, fight because it's very deliberate. But in schools, I tell the kids this all the time: fighting is different than defending, and words do matter. And I've even had a kid ask me, well, what's the difference of fighting versus defending? And that's important because they get in trouble in school for fighting, that term. You got to fight. Everyone involves getting some sort of discipline, likely. But defense is someone that is an offensive threat, is impeding us in our defensive positions, and that is defending yourself. So that's what we try to teach them, is that self-defense mentality. And I want to make sure I make this very clear about why we teach them to kneel and these other defend options. Is because K through 12, for the average kid, 13 years, they're in school systems. And I have a niece that just graduated from UNC Chapel Hill last year. And they had a shooting on campus in August last year, and a professor was killed by a student. And she told me she got an alert on her phone, and all it said was, consider run, hiding, or fighting. And it didn't share details. And the point was, she said, luckily, I remembered my training from high school and from growing up, because she said, in my 4 years of college, I didn't get any training anymore. So I want to share this, is like, I take this that serious as a professional, and being from the state and caring about where I grew up myself, is that Virginia, I feel like we are one of the most proactive school districts or school states within our schools, from the Virginia Center for School and Campus Safety, to take this stuff serious. And we make sure that little details do matter, because they might not get anything after high school. And this foundation of those 13 years will help them, hopefully, wherever path it takes them, whether they stay as a civilian or they go as a first responder or military or whatever. It gives them a foundation that we can't control past their K through 12 years. And then here's also some pictures of us working with the littles. So the littles, as in the K through 5. And And the important thing with them is we talk to them about age appropriate terms. We don't scare them. My mentality for our team is we always say we want to make sure we don't add more fear whenever we do a training, because fear is a natural thing and we never want to add to fear. What we want to help all of our constituents do, and all of our, our clientele, students and staff, want to make sure that we help them learn how to respect the things that they may fear. And usually the things that we fear are often things that we can't control. And so we also try to maximize on things that we can control, locking doors, making sure we're aware and we're not making complacent decisions, but also knowing that words matter, but also being polite, courteous, yet firm on all of our standards and our rules. Those are things we can't control. But what we can control is we cannot control the actions of everyone else outside of us. And another thing that I try to teach the kids is that they're all on the same team. We're not best friends with every classmate. However, you all are on the same team, and we have to work as one to support each other in challenging emergency situations. And we start that from the low level all the way up to the high level of, you see here on the left side of the screen, the high schoolers that I was working with here. And last year, we started our student body training recently, formally. And last year, we trained about 10,000 of our 90,000+ students in person. And we hope to keep growing that number each year. And this year, we just added another training team member. So we have the ability to keep adding more influence and opportunities for trainings out there. Okay. All right. So that's the end of my presentation. So again, security, a responsibility for all. The time is 7:21. So I know we got a little bit started after 6:30, but that covers it. And at this point, if there's any Q&As that we have, or any chat questions we can have, I can go ahead and look at that.
We just had one come in. Let me see. Really
Thank
good.
you. Thank you, Ms. Jeanette Knowles. Thank you so much. And for any of those out there, I do a lot of these. Most of them are in person with schools and PTA or PTOs. The important thing is that if your schools have these meetings, PTA or PTO meetings, please make sure that you get involved with those. And that's how we can understand this is for all of us. We're all involved. And school board meetings, come out and have your citizen comment. But this is for all of us to be part of, and I really appreciate everybody's time that showed up today. And it looks like we might have one chat question.
Do you see one on your? I don't see it on mine.
No, it was. I got you. That was it.
Okay, so if we don't have any further questions as we wrap up tonight's family engagement series on security, a responsibility for all, I just want to thank each of you for taking time out to come with and watch this presentation this evening. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we look forward to seeing you at our future family engagement series. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.
I need to put a link in the chat.
Okay.
Sorry.
We got an thank you, Victoria. Thank you for the Zoom. And let's thank the team that made this happen. So thank you all for the team, Ms. Boyce and Ms. Patel, for making this happen, and in our interpreters as well. Thank you so much for helping to get this word out to everyone that we can.
There's a survey in the chat. If you could click on that link, we would appreciate it.
Yes, please fill out that survey. It tells us about how you feel about what we did and for future, anything you need us to do for future events. Thank you so much. You all have a great evening.
You too. See y'all.
Bye.
I'm gonna give them just a moment to get that.